I was happily married to Jessica for 8 years. As a software engineer, I provided a comfortable life while she taught elementary school. We had routines, inside jokes, and dreams. Then after her class reunion, she suggested opening our marriage. Something felt wrong, but I reluctantly agreed because I loved her. Deep down, I suspected she already had someone in mind. Before I continue this heartbreaking story of betrayal and rebirth, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe to hear how I rebuilt my life from complete devastation. I met Jessica 10 years ago at Stanford University. She was this vibrant literature major with an infectious laugh who ran the campus poetry club. I was the computer science nerd who secretly wrote poetry but never showed anyone. She caught me scribbling verses in the campus coffee shop one afternoon and insisted I read them aloud. Despite my embarrassment, that moment sparked our connection. We dated throughout our final years of college. Jessica was spontaneous and passionate about literature, always recommending books that expanded my worldview. I was more structured and analytical, helping her organize her chaotic study schedule during finals. We complemented each other perfectly, or so I thought. After graduation, we both found jobs in the Bay Area. I joined a tech company as a junior developer while Jessica secured a position teaching 3rd grade at a well-regarded elementary school. We rented a small apartment in Oakland, saved diligently, and dreamed of our future together. 2 years later, I proposed during a weekend trip to Big Sur. The wedding was intimate and beautiful, held at a small vineyard in Napa Valley with 60 of our closest friends and family members. Jessica looked stunning in her simple white dress, and I remember thinking I was the luckiest man alive. The first 6 years of marriage were everything I had hoped for. We purchased a modest house in a friendly suburb outside San Francisco. Our neighbors became friends. We hosted barbecues in summer and game nights in winter. Every year we took one big vacation, exploring national parks or visiting new cities. Jessica talked about having children in a year or two when she felt more established in her teaching career. Throughout our relationship, Jessica maintained a close friendship with Amanda, her roommate from college. Amanda worked in marketing for various tech companies and lived the glamorous San Francisco lifestyle Jessica sometimes seemed to envy. They met regularly for lunch or drinks, and Jessica would return home energized and full of stories about Amanda's exciting job and dating adventures. I was glad she had such a supportive friendship, even if I sometimes noticed the wistful look in her eyes when she talked about Amanda's life. As our marriage approached, the 7-year mark, subtle changes began appearing in our relationship. The first notable shift happened after Jessica attended her 10-year college reunion. She returned buzzing with stories about old classmates, particularly Lucas Hayes, who had apparently transformed from an average student to a successful tech startup CEO. "You would not believe Lucas. Now, Abraham," she gushed over breakfast the next morning. "He founded that AI platform everyone is talking about. He just secured $20 million in funding and bought a penthouse overlooking the bay." I nodded along, happy she had enjoyed reconnecting with old friends. But in the following weeks, I noticed Jessica mentioning Lucas with increasing frequency. She followed his company on social media and often commented on his business achievements during our dinner conversations. Around this time, Jessica began changing her appearance in small but noticeable ways. She updated her wardrobe, replacing her comfortable teacher clothes with more stylish outfits. She started wearing makeup daily, even on weekends when we had no plans. Her trips to the salon became more frequent, and she experimented with a new hairstyle that, while beautiful, seemed designed to impress people beyond her classroom of 8-year-olds. Her phone habits changed too. She began guarding her device closely, always keeping it face down and taking calls in another room. The notification sounds increased dramatically often, interrupting our evening television time or weekend breakfasts. When I asked casually who was texting so much, she would shrug and say, "Just the teacher group chat," or Amanda sending memes again. Friday night, outings with her friends, which had previously ended around 10 or 11, now regularly stretched past midnight. Jessica would return home with the scent of expensive cologne, mingling with wine on her breath, slightly unsteady, but glowing with excitement. When I expressed concern about her driving home in that condition, she dismissed it, saying she had only had a couple of drinks and I was being overprotective. My unease growing, I met Amanda for coffee one afternoon, hoping to understand what was happening in these Friday gatherings. Amanda seemed uncomfortable during our conversation, avoiding eye contact and providing vague answers about which bars they visited or who else joined them. When I specifically asked if Lucas Hayes ever attended these outings, Amanda became flustered, checked the time, and suddenly remembered an urgent work call she needed to make. I left that coffee shop with a knot in my stomach that would not dissolve. Something was happening, but I could not quite piece it together, and no one seemed willing to provide straight answers. The situation came to a head on Valentine's Day. I had planned a special evening reservations at the restaurant, where we had celebrated our first anniversary, followed by tickets to a play Jessica had mentioned wanting to see. I expected a romantic night reconnecting with my wife. Instead, over dessert, Jessica dropped a bombshell. "I have been thinking about our relationship," she began, her voice carefully controlled. "I love what we have, but I wonder if we are missing out on experiences. Several of my friends have open marriages now. It allows them to maintain their primary relationship while exploring connections with others." I nearly choked on my chocolate mousse. "Are you suggesting we should sleep with other people?" "Not exactly like that," she said, reaching for my hand. "More like giving each other freedom to form meaningful connections beyond our marriage." It is actually very modern and mature. My mind raced with questions and fears. Was I not enough anymore? Had she already met someone else? Was this genuinely about exploration? Or was it a pretext for something specific she wanted to pursue? For weeks, following that dinner, our home became a battleground of tense discussions. Jessica insisted she loved me, but felt our relationship had become too comfortable, too predictable. She talked about personal growth and not wanting to look back with regrets about unexplored paths. I suggested marriage counseling, and we attended 3 sessions. The therapist tried to facilitate communication, but Jessica seemed frustrated by the process, checking her watch frequently and providing surface-level responses. After the 3rd session, she declared it unhelpful and refused to return. Worn down by constant arguments and afraid of losing her completely, I finally agreed to her proposal with strict conditions. We would always inform each other before meeting someone new. We would not get involved with mutual friends or colleagues, and we would never bring anyone to our home. Jessica readily agreed to these terms, her relief and excitement palpable. I tried to ignore the sinking feeling that she had already identified her first connection. Within weeks of our agreement, our home life transformed completely. Jessica began staying out late multiple nights per week. Sometimes she would text that she was with friends and would be home late. Other times, she would simply not come home until morning, offering brief explanations about falling asleep at a hotel because she drank too much to drive. She changed all her passwords on her phone, email, and social media accounts. When I mentioned this seemed contrary to our agreement about openness, she accused me of being controlling and not truly understanding what an open marriage meant. Her behavior toward me shifted dramatically. The affectionate touches, thoughtful gestures, and intimate conversations that had characterized our relationship vanished. She no longer asked about my day or shared stories from her classroom. When we were home together, she was physically present but mentally elsewhere, constantly checking her phone and smiling at private messages. Our joint bank account showed alarming new spending patterns. Expensive restaurant charges appeared several times weekly. There were receipts for designer clothes far beyond our usual budget. Most concerning were the hotel charges at luxury establishments like the Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons. Places we had always considered special occasion, splurges now appearing regularly on weeknights. I felt increasingly lonely in our home, surrounded by photos of happier times that seemed to mock my current reality. Sleep became elusive as I lay awake wondering where she was and who she was with. My focus at work suffered, leading to concerns from my manager about my performance. The dreams we had shared about starting a family faded into impossibility. How could we bring children into this fractured version of marriage? The future I had envisioned disappeared, replaced by uncertainty and growing resentment. The truth finally surfaced through an unexpected source. A coworker mentioned seeing Jessica at an upscale restaurant in downtown San Francisco, looking very cozy with some tech guy who is always in the business news. His casual comment confirmed my worst suspicions, but also provided a strange relief. At least I was not imagining things. That evening I discovered Jessica had left her iPad on our coffee table. She had forgotten to sign out of her messaging accounts. I knew looking through her messages violated her privacy, but our marriage was disintegrating, and I needed answers. What I found devastated me. There were hundreds of messages between Jessica and Lucas Hayes, dating back more than 4 months before she had proposed opening our marriage. The exchanges were intimate and explicit, filled with plans for their encounters and complaints about having to maintain secrecy. "I wish we did not have to sneak around," Jessica had written. "Being with you feels so right. Feels increasingly distant anyway." Lucas responded, "Patience beautiful. You know, I am worth waiting for. Just follow the plan we discussed." I scrolled through and found detailed emails confirming reservations at the Fairmont Hotel for regular Thursday night stays, always in the luxury suite category. There were photos exchanged that made me physically ill. But most painful were the messages discussing me treating our 8-year marriage as an inconvenient obstacle to their happiness. When Jessica returned home that night, I confronted her with what I had discovered. After initial denials, she finally admitted to having been involved with Lucas for 4 months, before suggesting we open our marriage. "You have to understand, Abraham," she pleaded, tears streaming down her face. "Lucas is the kind of opportunity that comes once in a lifetime. He is successful, connected, exciting. When he showed interest in me at the reunion, I could not believe it. I never planned to hurt you, but I could not walk away from what he offered." "So our open marriage agreement was just a cover for your affair?" I asked, my voice hollow. "I thought it would make things easier for everyone," she replied. "I truly believed you might find someone too, and we could transition to a more modern arrangement. Did you follow any of our rules? Did you ever respect our agreement at all?" Her silence was answer enough. "I think I am falling in love with him," she finally whispered. "He wants me to move in with him. I might want a divorce, Abraham." Those words shattered the last remnants of our relationship. That night I packed essential belongings and checked into a nearby hotel. The next day I contacted a divorce attorney to understand my options. The following weeks were the darkest of my life. I could barely eat or sleep. My work performance deteriorated further, leading to a compassionate but firm warning from my supervisor. I lost 15 pounds and barely recognized the gaunt face staring back at me in the mirror each morning. I started seeing a therapist twice weekly, trying to process the betrayal and loss of the future I had planned. I had to make the painful call to my parents, explaining that their beloved daughter-in-law had been unfaithful and our marriage was ending. Their disappointment and anger on my behalf was both comforting and another layer of pain. Finding a new place to live became my focus, a concrete task to anchor me during emotional chaos. I secured a small 1-bedroom apartment across town and began the process of separating our possessions and financial accounts. Each item we had purchased together held memories that now felt tainted. As I struggled to rebuild my life, an unexpected source of support emerged. Amanda, Jessica's best friend, reached out to me about a month after I moved out. "Can we meet for coffee?" her text read. "There are things you should know." We met at a quiet cafe, far from our usual haunts. Amanda looked nervous, fidgeting with her cup and avoiding eye contact initially. "I knew about Lucas and Jessica," she confessed immediately. "I have been carrying this guilt for months. I should have told you, but she swore it was just a harmless flirtation that would burn itself out." Amanda explained that she had been present at the reunion when Lucas first approached Jessica. She had witnessed their exchange of numbers and the subsequent development of their relationship. Jessica had sworn her to secrecy, placing her in an impossible position between loyalty to her friend and basic human decency. "When she told me about convincing you to open the marriage, I tried to talk her out of it," Amanda continued. "It seemed so manipulative. But she was completely infatuated with Lucas and his lifestyle." Amanda then shared something that helped contextualize the situation. "Lucas has a pattern, Abraham. In our industry circles, he is known for pursuing married women, enjoying the conquest, then discarding them when they become too available or demanding. I told Jessica this, but she was convinced she was different. Our coffee meeting extended into dinner as we continued talking. For the first time since discovering Jessica's betrayal, I felt truly heard and understood. Amanda had known both of us throughout our relationship and could appreciate the magnitude of what had been destroyed. We began meeting regularly. Amanda would check in on me, making sure I was eating properly and taking care of myself. She helped me furnish my new apartment and introduced me to her friends to expand my social circle beyond the couples Jessica and I had known together. Through these interactions, I began to rediscover my value as a person separate from my failed marriage. Amanda saw qualities in me that I had forgotten existed during the painful final months with Jessica. She laughed at my dry humor, appreciated my thoughtfulness, and encouraged me to revive old hobbies like playing guitar and hiking. Gradually, our friendship deepened into something more. Neither of us planned it or pushed for it. It evolved naturally through genuine connection and mutual respect. 6 months after leaving my marital home, I realized I had developed feelings for Amanda that went beyond friendship. Before I could find the courage to express these feelings, an unexpected interruption occurred. Jessica appeared at my apartment door one evening, tear-stained and disheveled. "Can I come in?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Please, I need to talk to you." Against my better judgment, I allowed her inside. She collapsed onto my couch, sobbing uncontrollably for several minutes before collecting herself enough to speak. "Lucas is gone," she finally managed. "He completely disappeared from my life." Through fragmented sentences, Jessica explained that after she had finally left me completely and moved her remaining possessions to Lucas's penthouse, their relationship had rapidly deteriorated. He became distant, working late, and traveling frequently. When she suggested they formalize their relationship with a key to his apartment, he began pulling away more obviously. Then last week, I came back from a teacher conference, and he had changed the locks, she said, fresh tears flowing. He blocked my number and told building security not to let me in. His assistant sent a courier with my things and a note saying he needed space. Later that week, a friend sent Jessica a photo of Lucas at a gallery opening with a young model on his arm. He had simply moved on without explanation, leaving Jessica without the husband she had discarded or the lover she had sacrificed everything to be with. "I made the biggest mistake of my life," Jessica said, moving closer to me on the couch. "I threw away something real and beautiful for a fantasy. I miss our life together, Abraham. I miss you. We could try again, rebuild what we had." Looking at her, I realized something profound. I felt no joy in her suffering, no satisfaction in the confirmation that Amanda had been right about Lucas, but I also felt no desire to reconnect romantically with Jessica. The love I had carried for 8 years had been completely extinguished by her betrayal. "I am sorry you are hurting," I told her honestly, "but I cannot go backward. That chapter of our lives is closed." "Is there someone else?" she asked, suddenly alert. "You seem different." I considered lying to spare her feelings, but opted for honesty. "Amanda and I have been spending time together. I care about her deeply." Jessica's expression transformed from sorrow to rage in an instant. "Amanda, my best friend, how could you both do this to me?" The irony of her indignation was not lost on me. "Jessica, you left our marriage for another man. You lied and manipulated me for months. You do not get to dictate how or with whom I rebuild my life." She left my apartment in a fury, slamming the door hard enough to prompt a text from my neighbor, asking if everything was okay. Within days, mutual friends began contacting me with questions. Jessica had spun a narrative painting me as the villain and herself as the victim, claiming I had been secretly involved with Amanda during our marriage, which had driven her into Lucas's arms. Some friends believed her story without question, sending disapproving messages or unfriending me on social media. Others reached out directly seeking my perspective before making judgments. A few recognized the inconsistencies in Jessica's timeline and stood firmly in my corner. Amanda faced even harsher treatment, labeled a backstabbing friend by women who had been in her social circle for years. The pressure became intense enough that we discussed whether continuing our relationship was worth the social cost. "I have known Jessica since college," Amanda said during an emotional conversation. "Some of these friendships go back a decade, but I cannot support how she treated you or the lies she is telling now. I choose us if you will have me." The situation came to a head when Jessica insisted on meeting both of us at a restaurant, claiming she wanted to clear the air. Against our better judgment, we agreed. The meal began civilly but quickly deteriorated as Jessica alternated between tearful pleas for reconciliation with me and vicious attacks on Amanda's character. When she loudly accused Amanda of plotting to steal me all along, drawing stares from nearby diners, I had finally had enough. "Stop," I said, firmly standing up. "You made your choices, Jessica. You chose Lucas over our marriage. You chose deception over honesty. You chose what you wanted, without regard for the promises we made or the pain you caused. I have made my choice too. I choose to move forward, not backward. I choose happiness with someone who values truth and respect." Taking Amanda's hand, I placed enough cash on the table to cover our meals and walked out, leaving Jessica alone with her regrets. 1 year later, Amanda and I relocated to Seattle for fresh career opportunities. I joined a promising startup developing sustainable technology solutions, while Amanda secured a senior marketing position with a major outdoor recreation company. The move represented our commitment to building something new together, rather than living in the shadow of past relationships. We found a cozy apartment in a vibrant neighborhood, with easy access to hiking trails and waterfront parks. Unlike the suburban home I had shared with Jessica, our place reflected both our personalities equally. Amanda's artistic touches blending with my more minimalist preferences. We adopted a rescue dog named Baxter, a gentle lab mix who became the center of our shared life. With distance from the drama, I rediscovered passions that had been sidelined during my marriage and its painful ending. I joined a community guitar group that performed at local nursing homes and after-school programs. Writing, which had first connected me to Jessica years ago, became a regular practice again, though now I shared my work with Amanda, who offered encouragement without judgment. Through mutual friends, we occasionally heard updates about Jessica. She had relocated to Los Angeles to take a teaching position at a private school. According to social media, she seemed to be focusing on her career and travel experiences rather than relationships. I genuinely hoped she was finding her way toward happiness. My healing journey continued with professional help. My therapist in Seattle helped me work through lingering trust issues and anxiety. The process was not linear. Some weeks brought significant breakthroughs, while others felt like sliding backward into pain and doubt. One of the hardest lessons was learning to forgive, not because Jessica deserved forgiveness, but because carrying anger and resentment only hurt me. Forgiveness did not mean excusing her actions or welcoming her back into my life. It meant releasing the emotional hold those events had on me and reclaiming my energy for building my future. Amanda and I approached our relationship with careful intention, mindful of the painful experiences we both carried. We established habits of radical honesty, agreeing to address concerns immediately, rather than allowing them to fester. We maintained individual friendships and interests, while building our life together, understanding that healthy boundaries strengthen rather than threaten connections. When fears of abandonment or betrayal surfaced for me, often triggered by unexpected reminders of the past, Amanda responded with patience rather than defensiveness. Her consistent reliability gradually rebuilt my capacity for trust. In turn, I worked to ensure my past experiences did not cause me to become controlling or suspicious, recognizing Amanda deserved to be loved for who she was, not shadowed by Jessica's choices. Through this journey, I discovered that sometimes the worst experiences open doors to unexpected joy. Had Jessica not betrayed me, I might never have discovered the profound connection I now share with Amanda. This realization does not justify the pain caused, but offers meaning within it. I learned that real love manifests in daily choices of honesty, respect, and consideration. The dramatic passion Jessica sought with Lucas proved ephemeral compared to building genuine intimacy, founded on mutual growth and support. True partnership means celebrating each other's successes without envy and supporting each other through failures without judgment. Perhaps most importantly, I learned to trust my instincts. The subtle discomfort I felt when Jessica first suggested opening our marriage was my intuition signaling something was wrong. In future relationships, I promised myself to honor those internal warnings rather than dismissing them to maintain peace. Life is not a straight path from pain to healing. Some days, still bring shadows of doubt or echoes of hurt. But each day also brings opportunities to choose courage over fear, authenticity over pretense, and growth over stagnation. The future remains unwritten, full of possibilities I could not have imagined during those dark days when my marriage ended. If my story resonates with you, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to rebuild your life after betrayal? What helped you find your way forward? Please like and subscribe if you found value in my experience, and share this video with someone who might need to hear that life can become beautiful again after heartbreak. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember, sometimes losing what you thought you wanted opens the door to what you truly needed all along.